Hey everybody, it's Jake. On this week's episode, we went ahead and did our first staff picks in a while. This time we picked the theme of Westerns. So we each picked three of our favorite Westerns to talk about and recommend to you guys. So you don't want to miss that. If you're into the Westerns genre, and even if you're not, you might find some movies that you find interesting and entertaining. So check out our staff picks for that. We're also back together in person at the Watchtower Coffee and Comics downtown in Salt Lake City. That's where I got this cool shirt. So you got to go check them out. We are going to put the link down into our description for their website so you can find them and go check them out because they're awesome and they were great letting us come there and record for the first time in over a year together in person. So that was great. All of that's happening on this week's episode of Movies That Make Us, and it starts right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And guys, we are here at Watchtower, back together.
This is so weird.
In person. This is really weird.
This is where we used to meet when things were allowed to be fun
Yeah.
before the world turned weird. And now we're back.
Yeah.
But they're in a different place
I
now.
was gonna say, it
so
looks a
this
lot
is our
different.
first
It
time
is a
doing
different
it.
layout,
Yeah,
yes.
it's our first time doing it in the new location, which is super fun.
Yeah, and it's super nice. Like if
This
you
is
guys have a
gorgeous.
Yeah, I
good
kind of
time
feel like it's too good for us
Right?
now. Like I feel like we need to step up our game.
I can see that. But fortunately, the staff is always so kind
Yes,
that they make us feel welcome despite that.
I feel like maybe I should have worn a full pair of pants and not half pair of pants.
Well, going out is hard. We're not used to
I
having
know,
to
right?
do
I
it,
got
so-
lost on the way here. I was like driving.
They're
What?
probably happy to have people here, so
Well, this place has always been packed. Like, it's really picked up a lot lately, and it's so fun. Like, when you drive by outside, you can see, like, all the pride flags.
Yeah,
and then
it's
when
really
you come
cool.
inside, it's so different because there's, like, records and record players on the wall. You can get books. You can get comics. You can get chocolates.
you can
Yeah.
get caramel. The
Oh,
Tongan
yeah.
caramel.
I still have not
Oh,
gotten that yet because
my
this is the
word.
thing. I feel like if I eat it, I'm done. Like, that's
Oh.
it. Like, I'm not
Oh,
going to...
it's addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
I already
good.
have issues with
Yeah.
eating.
I don't need a new sugar thing. That's
Exactly.
addictive in my life.
Wait until after the wedding and then whatever.
Yes.
Now you're stuck, Dave.
You're stuck with me.
To the show.
Oh,
Dude!
dang it.
Mike, you...
Tui just gave us a thing of the caramel.
Let's see if we can get it.
Mike,
Look at that.
Yay.
you are a scholar and a gentleman.
So do you just eat this with a spoon out of the jar?
yeah.
Is
That
that?
is actually the most common way that people will consume it. You can put it in with like warm milk.
Okay, mix it in with
Ice
milk,
cream.
mix it in with coffee.
cream.
on
Ice cream is really good.
My favorite way right now is fresh banana bread out of the oven. And you glaze the top of it.
See, you're
Let it
super
cool
bougie.
down,
Yeah.
Oh.
The last time
So,
I had
fresh
fresh banana
banana
bread out of the oven,
ooh.
that was like the first week of the pandemic when I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to be a baker now." That lasted a week.
So fresh banana bread
So you
out of
didn't-
the oven.
You didn't
caramel
advance to
sauce,
the
sounds
sourdough
amazing.
stage.
No, no.
That's the advanced
But I
course that
did
you
cook a
didn't take.
lot, and now 25 pounds later, here I am.
I think we are all in that.
Yeah, I think we're all at the same boat.
I know some people that went the other direction, and I'm like,
How?
okay.
Yeah.
Because they, like,
inhuman.
did things. Like, they went out of their house, they did things. They're like, I'm going to take this time to work out at home. That also lasted about 3 weeks
Yeah,
at my house.
Yeah. Well, and it was hard too because into the last year where I was out with my surgery, I couldn't walk or do anything,
Right.
and so the only thing I had to keep me going was eating food. So it was
Yeah.
not healthy.
Yeah, I'm going to blame it on your surgery, too.
Yeah, and it was like that. It was like that sympathy weight, right?
Right,
Like that
exactly.
empathy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Empathy weight, yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, I've missed you guys.
Yeah, this is much better than we were.
Yeah.
Like looking at the screen, it's
I
just
love
very
it.
different.
A month ago, I went back to work at the radio station in studio, and now this, like
Yeah.
4
Things
weeks
are
later,
just coming
we're
together.
here.
It feels good. It feels
Touching
nice.
Tracy.
Yeah. But if you guys don't stop, I've got to like pull this car over and turn around. Like, there's a line.
She's touching me. She's touching me.
She's breathing my air.
Yeah, I am.
I don't know what to tell
I
you.
breathe everybody's air, a lot of it.
Well, air is still free, so you can do that.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I do love they've got these great T-shirts that keep.
I know, I was
keep Salt
looking
Lake
at them,
City
and
nerdy. Yeah.
every time I come in, I'm like, do I need another T-shirt?
Yes.
No, but I really want this one.
These ones are really cool because it's Pride Month, and so it's got the Pride colors on there, and it looks really cool. Because I've got the sticker on the front
Yeah.
of my laptop that I like a lot. So
I told myself as soon as my room's clean, then I'm allowed to have another T-shirt, and then
Okay.
I'll come and
There you
get
go.
it. So maybe by the next time we do the show, I can I can do a T-shirt.
there you go.
It's like
Perfect.
you're parenting yourself.
I've been working on the yard, so like as you guys know, as an adult, like you clean the house, you do the yard, you take care of everyone else, and by the time you get to your room at the end of the night, you're like, no,
Nope. Good
Yeah.
enough.
no.
It's the last
I
one
mean,
that
I have
gets
half
done.
an hour left for Netflix, and then I'm going to bed. So
Yeah.
like that's
Well, and you know, Erica and I, we just kind of figure we've got a deal. We just don't talk about our room to anybody else. We don't show it to anybody else, and then it's fine. Nothing to worry about. So,
As far as I know, it's immaculate.
yeah, it is. It's perfect, spotless, and you'll never know different.
yeah. But you guys know me. You've seen my car. How would you ever think my room is any? It is the most clean it's been in a really long time because Dave is super clean.
Okay. That's good.
He's such a good influence for you.
I mean, is he? I've learned some new words. I will not
So-
say any of them on the show.
My son, my 4-year-old, almost 5, right? Oh, Erica doesn't like this story. Erica's helping with some of the
Tell
equipment
us.
today, but he learned a new word. We were out in the hall, and all of a sudden we heard "mother." Like, what is going on?
Big one.
Yeah, and we're like,
Is he
what did
watching
you-
Samuel L. Jackson movies?
Well, sometimes he's a big fan of Snakes on Planes. Like, no,
I'm like, what?
no. Apparently, it's a game that he watches YouTube videos of called, and this is an awful name for a game, Friday Night Funkin'. There's an N in there.
Oh,
And they're like doing rap battles or something.
okay, okay.
And so there's YouTube videos of people playing this game because there's YouTube videos of every
Right.
video game out there.
Yeah.
And he watches those, and apparently that's where he heard it. And we went and asked, we're like, what did you say? He's like, oh my gosh. No.
No, that's
we heard
nice
it,
try.
and that wasn't it.
Nice try.
So he doesn't get to watch YouTube for a while now.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Yeah.
And his sister sold him out real quick. She's like, Mom and Daddy's. We were down the hall, so we heard it. We're like, yeah, we heard.
She sold.
She's
Like that. She sang like a canary, man. It was no problem.
She had no issues with it. That's
So-
funny.
Well, we're together. Staff
Yes.
picks. We're going to talk about
Staff
Westerns
picks.
today.
staff picks. Excellent.
I think that's trademarked. I don't think we can use that.
Yeah, I didn't say that
No,
part
that's
of it.
party
I just,
time. Excellent.
I just did
Okay.
staff picks. He
Dude,
finished
if
it. That-
Vanilla Ice can rip off Queen,
No,
I think
now
I'm-
listen.
he has more money than us.
Queen
Still.
goes dot 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 dot, and he goes dot 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 dot. or
Right,
something.
it's that extra-
He explained it or something. It didn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
it's that extra accent.
But I've got ears. I can hear that it's the same song, man.
Okay.
So, Westerns.
Super excited to talk about Westerns. I'm surprised it's taken us this long
I know.
to dive into Westerns. Like, I want to do a few movies not in this cluster.
Yes.
But we all picked some of our favorites today.
Yep.
And I know that some of you will be happy with one of my picks because we did have a couple people comment that if Tombstone was not on this list, they were going to burn down our house or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. And let me tell you something. She doesn't make those kind of threats lightly. She will carry them out. So,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
so I
You
knew.
saved us all.
Well,
Thank you, Val.
That's what I do.
I was relieved when I saw it. I was like, okay, I know Val's list, and I know that one of them's on there. So it's fine. We're fine. Everything's
I
fine.
absolutely love Westerns. I know I always say, like, this is my favorite genre, and I say it almost about everything, but I love movies. But Westerns, there's just something about Westerns that, and they don't make a lot of Westerns anymore, so when a good one comes out, because it used to be just Westerns all the time, and then now it's every once in a while we get a remake of a Western. I don't know that there's been, like, an original good Western in a really long time. I'm not
A lot of
talking
them
about
were
like
remakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like two of mine today are remakes.
One of mine is.
So, but I think that's okay because with the Westerns, they usually put a lot of time between the remakes. It's not like 4 years after we made this, then we need to remake it again. So that's cool.
And we don't have a glut of Western films like we do the superhero films. Like, I love superhero films, but
I mean,
we've got so many of them right now, and we've talked about so many of them.
Right.
It's nice to have.
I think, like, currently we don't have a glut, but I mean,
but
we
we used to
but
have
we
a
had-
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
there used to be quite a few.
Yeah.
That's
And
kind
we
of a
will
genre
later
that's
this year.
tapered off. Yeah.
They're like condensing all of the Marvel movies that were supposed to come out. And I love them, don't get me wrong, but it's an underappreciated genre for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think it's just one that, because they kind of stopped, I think, about the 70s or so, they stopped making as many of them, because it used to be like that was all that they made. I mean, John Wayne was the biggest movie star in the world because...
Yeah. And then it
the
jumped to Clint
Westerns.
Eastwood, and he was
Yeah.
doing a freaking movie every week.
Yeah. And then they kind of slowed down and stopped, and I think while I was growing up, it was really rare to see a Western come out. And
Yeah,
so,
it was more like mafia movies.
Yeah, mafia
There was a
movies were really
lot
big
of
in the
mafia
80s, yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
And like
everybody wanted to be in
heist.
the mob.
Mafia and
Yeah.
heist.
Yeah. Yeah. And so so now they don't come out as often, and when they do, it is usually a remake. Because thinking about recent ones that have been really good, I think they've all been remakes. I don't know.
I mean, there's been like
one.
the stupid ones, like didn't McFarlane do one?
Yeah, the what to do in the West when you're dead or something.
Yeah, 1,000 Ways to Die.
That's what it
or
is.
whatever.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Awful.
and I think Adam Sandler had one that Netflix paid him a lot of money to make.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't also.
Adam Sandler in a Western.
It was as good as you think it might be.
I thought I'd seen every Adam Sandler movie, but I don't know that I want to see that one.
Yeah, it was like a straight to Netflix original.
Okay.
One, so,
Huh.
But yeah, so we don't see a lot. Well, I guess there's like the Hateful Eight. That was
Yeah.
original.
But that wasn't like a huge blockbuster.
No.
No, I think it's more of like a fan favorite now, and they've got like the original version and then the extended version streaming.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that one day. That didn't take.
Yeah, that's a 4-hour movie. That's Zack
And
Snyder.
it's a 4-hour movie that moves so slow. And I'm okay with slow movies if I think it's going to go somewhere. But you're watching that, and it's got a lot of our favorite actors in it. I mean, Samuel
Kurt
is in it.
Russell.
Kurt Russell, like all these people.
Michael Mann, or not Michael Mann. Anyway,
but
yeah.
and you're watching it thinking it's going to get better. No.
Nope.
And I know there's a lot of people that do like it, but I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan
I'm
of
not
that
a fan
one.
of it.
Well, let's talk about the ones that we are a fan of.
Thanks for keeping us on track.
Well, all right. We'll talk about the ones we hate. We'll just keep hating on stuff.
We should do a hater episode where we just bash movies.
I think that would be really hard for us because
It
it's
would.
so different than how we normally.
And I
Well, we
usually
did
have
it
a good
once.
things to say about. I usually have a good thing to say about every movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you know
There was
this, blah blah blah
something-
blah.
We tried the hater episode one time. Remember, it was Ready Player One. The
didn't-
one
Yeah,
that's-
but I don't think
Didn't
it
go
was
well.
a good enough movie to hate, and it was
Yeah.
only one.
Yeah,
we've got to pick one that like
and that was early in our
is so
career.
bad.
Maybe we could do movies that other people hate, but we secretly love, and now it's
Okay.
not a secret anymore.
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
or we could pick. Well, never mind. I was going to say something that I'm not going to say now. So
The S word movie,
the S word movie. No,
Sharknado.
No, we can
Oh.
do Sharknado sometime, Tracy. But we know
We
you
need
love
to
that
do like
one.
a Sharknado viewing party.
That's what
we need to
yeah.
do. Yeah, we all need to watch it together because I'm sure if I watched it separately by myself now, I'd be like, this is so lame. But
I'll make us all treat bags.
okay,
Perfect.
all right.
Perfect. Well, Tracy, let's start with you. What are your picks for favorite wrestling?
Are we doing all three or just one at a time and round table it?
Typically, we do all three. And
All right,
table
all right.
it, Yeah.
I'm gonna start way back in the beginning. I'm gonna go with a 1903 film you should check
Wow.
out, The Great Train Robbery. It's one of the very first narrative films. It's not long. It's like an hour, if that. But it has a lot of where the conventional tropes came from. So you've got gun battles and you've got moving trains, and that one is just so interesting to see because it's so early, but it's actually pretty well done. They were doing stuff like they were going in and coloring the negative when explosives went off because they have to blow up the safe to get the money and stuff like that. So that one I've always enjoyed. I like some of the old movies. I was also thinking I didn't pick it, but I almost picked The General with Buster Keaton.
Oh, okay.
Which is freaking hilarious. That is one of the funniest movies ever. But that one, yeah, it's interesting to go back and look at where all of this kind of came from, and to see the Western is not a very complicated genre. Like sci-fi can get very complex, and it can be all sorts of rules and all that. But the Western, you've usually got the good guys, the bad guys. There's a gun battle. Bad guys are usually after money or something like that. There's not a lot of room to play. I mean, there is, but there isn't.
Cowboys and aliens.
True. Not a good example, but true.
That is, and maybe that is a good example of what goes wrong when they do try to make it too complicated. Like,
genres are colliding.
yeah, that shouldn't be.
But that one's available on HBO Max. I think it's even on YouTube. But it's like I said, it's not a long film, but it's just interesting to see where these came from. And like I said, before this, a lot of films were just like kind of one take. You had the train pulling into the station by the Lumiere brothers, but this was like an actual narrative story with like action and adventure, and people went nuts for it. And it kind of helped birth movies as we know them today. So that's the first one I went with.
That would be an interesting one to watch, because 1903 is not that far removed from the actual like Wild West.
Right. So. Just kind of making a movie about yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 20, 30
something
years.
That happened in my neighborhood when I grew up.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So that one's a fun one to check out. My second one is a very famous John Wayne film. I went with Stagecoach. That one I was introduced to in film school. I didn't watch a lot of Westerns growing up. That wasn't something we watched a lot of. So that was kind of one of my earliest exposures to the Western genre. That one's also available on HBO Max. Very, very well shot. And it's fun because it's John Wayne before he became John Wayne. You know, he didn't have all the John Wayne-ness of him, and so to see him as a young
It was Jonathan
actor,
K. Wayne.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what his middle name is.
No, that sounds right. Jonathan K. Wayne. Yep.
Somebody's gonna get real mad at me.
Oh, I can't believe you said that.
I think his real name was Marion.
Yeah,
That's
So
right.
maybe that was
That's
back
right.
when he was Marion K. Wayne. Wait a second. Maybe no, that was Merriam. I was thinking Webster. Maybe his last name was Webster. That's where
No,
the dictionary
yeah, that's
came from.
Merriam.
But no, that's different.
No.
with all respect, we say this with all respect to John Wayne.
Bless
Clearly.
his soul, yes.
We make fun of everyone, and if we don't make fun of you, we don't like you.
That's a true statement. That's a true statement. But that one's a lot of fun. One of the things that they did that was interesting in that film, and it's a Ford film, John Ford, and they introduced a lot of the stuff that we think about now. And again, it's kind of that introduction. So we had all these different aspects of society kind of coming together on this Stagecoach. And in fact, Quentin Tarantino said that was one of the films that kind of influenced The Hateful Eight. Just these different people coming together that normally wouldn't mix in society. You've got the town drunk, and you've got the sheriff, and you've got some other people. But the last one I'm going to pick is the remake of the John Wayne film True Grit.
Yeah,
the Coen brothers.
That was almost on my list.
I love the Coen brothers, and they played in the Western genre a couple times. They've got The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
They had it's kind of a newer Western, but they did No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. They do good at that genre.
They do everything well. Coen brothers are just.
But they're also, all of those movies are weird, but really
they
good.
are. They are.
Yeah.
You can always tell that it's a Coen brothers film. Like you know that's. You could just watch it, and if you don't know, you'll soon recognize it. Their style.
This makes me feel weird. That's what every time.
But I like it.
It's good. That's awesome.
On a non-PG show, we could take that in a whole different direction, but we're not going to go there. But
We've gotten close a couple times on this one. So. I have no doubt we could.
But that one's a lot of fun. It's got Jeff Bridges as an old, crotchety, grizzled old man. It's got Matt Damon as the hot sheriff. for hire. Then you've got Josh Brolin as the villain, and Hailee Steifeld is in it as well. And her father gets killed and hires Jeff Goldblum, or not Jeff Goldblum. That's a whole different movie.
Yeah,
wow.
Right,
I'm
these
like,
Coen
wait,
Brothers movies are getting weird.
I haven't seen it. Maybe I haven't seen this
True
movie.
Grit starring Jeff Goldblum.
Can you imagine Jeff Goldblum in a Coen Brothers movie?
Yeah, I
That
can
would be
actually.
awesome.
Yeah. Why hasn't this happened yet? Will you make that happen, Tracy? Write a letter.
Yeah, I'll call Joel and Ethan. I'm good friends with them. They're my Steven.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got that.
What does that leave for me?
I mean, whoever you want. This
Yeah,
is
I
our own
guess
make-believe world.
Guess that's true.
Nobody assigns. You get to pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
I'll think about who
There are
mine
more
is
than
gonna
2
be.
people out there.
Oh, that's true. I know, but you guys picked 3, so I'm running out.
Yeah, I've got 2. You just have 1. But yours
I mean,
is so...
but mine, yeah. I mean,
mean-
he could be 10 people.
It's true.
So true. But anyway, she's a young girl. Her father gets killed. She hires Jeff Bridges to go and kill him. And the thing that I love is they kept the ending, because in a lot of remakes they'll change up the ending, and they kept it. And it's kind of a poignant ending. The young girl ends up getting bit by a rattlesnake. Spoilers: this movie's 11 years old. Anyway,
Well,
she
yeah,
gets
before
bit
that,
by a
even
roller.
older, so.
Yeah, exactly. She gets bit by a rattlesnake. Jeff Bridges, I almost said Goldblum again, ends up
You
taking
really
her
want
to
this
town.
movie
I
named
really do. I really do. And leaves before she wakes up, and she ends up losing her arm to gangrene, but she survives. And at the end, then she's contemplating. She's an older woman, and she's contemplating her life and what happened. And it's kind of this kind of bittersweet ending. So, anyway, those are my 3.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the original True Grit, the character, I think, is what earned John Wayne his Oscar.
I think that was.
But I
his
think it was
only,
for the sequel to True Grit instead of. It might have been. I don't know, but I
can't
think
remember.
that it was that character.
It was that
won
character.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Yep. But I like the remake quite a bit. So I don't mind remake, and we're going to get into a couple more. I know I don't mind remakes as long as they're good. Like,
Right.
I don't mind updating a story and re-releasing it because I think it introduces new audiences to that story.
Yeah. I think there needs to be at least 20 years between the remake.
Yeah.
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 Sony, 20 years between the remake. Are you listening? Spider-Man? Although we do love Tom Holland, just leave him there. Don't change it. That's fine.
Well,
Warner Brothers
they'd
and
make
Batman.
they'd make a Spider-Man movie every time the licensing agreement was almost
that's
up.
what
It was
yes, and that should definitely be what drives making a movie is that the licensing agreement is going.
we've got to make. If we don't make this, we lose
Yeah.
it. We got to make it.
Well, I mean, but as long you can make as many Spider-Man movies as you want, as long as it's not a remake of the original movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like there's more stories to be told. So
Yeah, that's
stop
true.
going back to the beginning and tell it. That's why I like the newest Spider-Man movies because they don't go. They just assume
Yeah.
because we do. And
Yeah.
if you don't,
we
why are
didn't
you
have to
even
see
here?
Uncle Ben again.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the odds are that we're going to see the parents die in the Batman?
I hope not because this
I
is.
think there will
they-
be a
they've
reference to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think
I don't
they're
think
going to
we'll
go through the
see
whole
it.
rigmarole of everything.
coming out of the opera and getting.
Yeah, I think there
robbed
will
and-
definitely be like maybe some flashes
Yeah.
of him and like the feelings.
Well, and the nice thing is that the Batman is going to be set in like his early career, so he's already established himself as the Batman. So it's not a true origin story, which I like. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, we know the origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Val. What are your 3 picks?
Okay, so there were a few that were on my list that didn't make it, but I just kind of want to throw them out. High Noon.
Oh,
I mean, when I went to film school, we had to watch that over and over and over just because how cool it was with all the shots they did in that movie that then became, things that they did in every Western for like the next decade. But I didn't put that in there because I want to talk about these other, and then Paint Your Wagon.
gonna paint my wagon.
I'm just
Gonna
kidding.
paint it
That's
good.
not.
Gonna use water-based paint.
If
'cause
you
that
haven't seen
wagon's
Paint
wood.
Your Wagon, you need to see it.
That's one of the
Because
best
Clint
Simpsons.
Eastwood-
Yeah, I love
in a musical Western with Clint Eastwood.
how quickly we just went with it.
Uh-huh,
Paint
yeah.
your wagon.
Yeah,
Okay.
great pick.
No! I mean, yes, it's one of those that it's like a Sharknado of Westerns, right?
It's true.
It's
It's
like
true.
you have to see it just to say that you had the experience.
The first one is the 2016 The Magnificent Seven, and I do like the original Magnificent Seven. And when they were announcing that they were remaking this movie, I was like, oh, what are you gonna do? And then they throw in a whole bunch of people that I love, and you guys know that's either like gonna be amazing or it's gonna be a pile of dung. And they have Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, Haley Bennett, Lee, I can't ever say it right, Lee Beng-hoo. And I was just like, okay, this can be really, really great. Plus, Peter Sarsgaard, who I
love Peter
absolutely
Sarsgaard.
love. So all of these people are in this movie, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm going to get in trouble for this probably. I'm not a huge Chris Pratt fan. I don't hate
He's
him.
hit or miss for me.
I don't hate him. I'm just not like, oh, he's not my favorite Chris. But he did really great in this movie. I think that almost everyone in this movie like stretched beyond what they usually play, including Denzel Washington, who has played almost everything. But I feel like they did enough changing and digging into the characters to give us, it is a remake, but they gave us more than what we had in the original, which is how I like a remake. So you've got all the essence of the original, but then they kind of
Give me something a little
dove
different.
into each character a little bit more. Ethan Hawke is the same for me. Like, he's hit and miss. There are things when I like him, and I always just feel like he's smelling something awful. But the way that they make his character in this movie, and he plays the Goodnight, I don't remember, Robic? I don't know. But he's older. He's kind of run down.
Right.
And I love that. I love when they just take someone's life away and you see him walking and he's like the Walking Dead. But it's amazing. And the shootout scene, when they're all up and the cameras that go da 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 da, like it's, to me, it was so well choreographed and the acting was so fantastic. And I really wanted to keep watching it. When the movie was over, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to watch it again.
Which is the sign of a really good
right,
movie.
exactly. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was too Hollywood and blah, blah, blah. What? I mean, Hollywood made the movie, so
Yeah.
original.
Which is a weird complaint about a movie. It's too Hollywood.
Well, and original Westerns were like all backlots were Westerns. I mean, a lot of them were here, but they were almost all built. There wasn't a lot. It's only recently in the last, 50 years that they've been taking Westerns on actual location.
Right.
Before, it was all made up,
It's in
guys.
Burbank,
I'm
and
sorry,
they have-
but it was all facades.
Well, the buildings, you'd have the buildings, and they would have like 2x4s behind them propping
Yeah,
up
they're
because
facades.
they're just flat walls.
Yeah, they're just facades. It's not.
Next, you're going to tell me something crazy, like some of them were even made in Italy and stuff.
I know,
Come on.
spaghetti Westerns.
I love the fact that you picked a remake of a remake, though.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you've got the original Magnificent Seven was
There's
a remake of The Seven Samurai.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
got
if you
multiple
haven't
levels.
seen, you should watch all three.
Yeah.
Because it's so great to see. They're all three great movies in their own way, but the way that it comes out in each time period that really represents the time period it's being made in.
And without those films, we don't have Star Wars.
Exactly.
Huge.
Yeah.
No, Lucas was a huge film
Oh, yeah.
of Kurosawa and of the original.
Oh, yeah,
The
Kurosawa.
Not the
original
one, but-
Magnificent
Yeah.
Seven, not
Yeah.
the remake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I'm
Seven
like-
Samurai and the original Magnificent Seven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And I do want to say, I really think that Chris Pratt is really great in Magnificent Seven. And if you
Yeah, he
if you've only
is.
known him from like Guardians of the Galaxy or Parks and Rec, like it's a very different.
Yeah,
role,
for
and
me,
he
I
does a
liked
great
it because,
job.
I mean, yeah, he's funny, and it's nice to see him being like this tongue-in-cheek, funny, like self-deprecating, like person all the time. But in this movie, it was great because he wasn't that, and you could tell, wow, he could do so many other things. So do it already. Like try some other things. You know, it was kind of like seeing what is that Silver Lining Playbook when we actually got to see Bradley Cooper
Be serious.
be serious. And then when he went and did the movie with Lady Gaga, I was like, holy crap. Like, I liked Bradley Cooper before, but
What?
like he actually stepped outside of what we want, what Hollywood wants him to do, and he did something else, and it worked. It doesn't always work, but I think this really worked for all of the actors that were in it.
agree.
And again, the shot choreography of these scenes, of the shootout scenes, and because you have so many levels of where everybody's at. You have some people that are way out, you know, in a field area. You've got people on top of buildings. You have people behind, and it's just, I just love the choreography of the camera work. It's fantastic. The next one is also a remake, and it's 3:10 to Yuma, the 2007
Great
version.
movie.
I love this movie.
I almost picked that one until I saw you had it. I'm like, dang it.
Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, Ben Foster, who I love to hate Ben Foster.
Yep.
Like, he does so good at his roles, I don't like him. Like, I see him, I'm like, ugh. But I'm like, he's so good at those roles. Peter Fonda is in this one. So, yeah, I think I love this one because Christian Bale plays a character where he's kind of the wiener.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry if that's not like a sophisticated enough word, but
No, we'll allow it
For this show?
but I feel like
because we like to keep it highbrow around
we-
here.
he usually plays a character.
Pinky out while he's drinking his
out.
Italian soda. You're so bougie.
It's true.
He usually, even in the movies where he's not a superhero, he usually plays a character which goes from nothing into hardcore or something, or he already starts at hardcore, or even if he is low, it's still in a really cool way. And in this movie, like, his kid thinks he's like a wiener. And so I love kind of like he's not sure if he's good enough, and nobody else thinks he's good enough. And he's really the only one with kind of the moral compass for a little while in this movie. And he has something to prove not only to himself, but to his kid. But at the same time, he doesn't feel like he has to prove anything to anyone. So it's really great. And then Russell Crowe. I mean...
That's one of his really, really good roles. Like, he's had some great roles.
Yeah.
But that one I put right up there.
I love it when he plays just, you know what, I'm going to be the bad guy, and you like him so much.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's a bad guy, but he also understands that he doesn't need to be a bad guy to people that aren't bad. So, you know, it's kind of, I really like it, but the coloring of this film is one of my favorites. It's got this golden hue about it that makes you feel warm the whole time, except for when they get into different scenes about Christian Bale's character's past, and then it gets kind of gray and just like cold. So I really like how you wouldn't even have to really listen to the movie, but you kind of understand the feelings that are going on in the film.
I love that.
So it's a totally different from, you know, the Magnificent Seven, but
Well, and it's one that remake in particular makes a lot of people's lists for like top 10 movies, top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
really. It's a very well received movie. Just
yeah.
a great film.
Yeah, it's just the relationship between Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, those characters, and I just feel like also they as actors, it just feels so natural for me. Like, it's not forced. In some of these like movies, and especially westerns, sometimes you kind of feel like, okay, we're all here but they're not really together in the scene, and I really think these guys, I would watch more movies with these two guys in them, and I wish they would do more. And Christian Bale, I think, is a great actor that people really don't, when you think of, hey, who's your favorite actor, he doesn't really come up. I don't think people give him the credit that he deserves.
100% agree.
He definitely is one of my favorite Batman as well. So
He's my favorite Batman. I mean, I love Michael Keaton, but
it's totally different. That's a like
it's a different
it's so
character.
different to compare.
It's a
Like,
completely
I
different
love
take
Michael
on-
Keaton as well, but when you get really into the darkness of who Batman is,
Right.
Christian Bale just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, he would be my favorite if George Clooney had never played Batman, obviously.
you know, that's so frustrating because Clooney should have been so good. He was
I
like
know.
perfect for it, and then
Yeah,
I think it just happened at the wrong time in his career.
yeah, I agree.
And the wrong time in
director.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, they were just throwing out crap every day. They didn't even care.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they were like drinking drinks and talking and
Printing
then
money
directing a film at the same time. Yeah, I mean, whatever.
If you wanna go over there.
Molly holding the lights. Do you wanna get this scene? Let the grip take a minute and direct today.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need a script. It's fine. Just hey,
Somebody
Arnold,
pinch his
if you could
nipples.
just like improv some of these jokes, that would just be great.
If there's anyone you don't want to improv jokes, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but I can't. I have a hard time believing a screenwriter put those jokes in the script because they are so bad.
So bad.
So bad. Like, I'm a fan of a bad pun.
Yeah.
I will fully admit, I love bad puns, but those are so bad.
Yeah, it's hard. Anyway, okay. So when I think of Westerns, there are a couple of people that I constantly think of. One of them is Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott is... I have never met a person that doesn't like Sam Elliott, and if you don't like him, don't even tell me. Yeah. Because I don't want to have to unfriend you in my mind.
Not even like just a Facebook unfriend. It's like in her mind.
That's
You're like
hardcore.
basically dead to her.
That
At
is-
that point, if you don't like
I mean,
Sam
I'm going to
Elliott.
smile at you, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't even care what you're saying right now.
Nope, you're dead to me.
But this movie, I can watch over and over. Probably during the pandemic, I watched it at least once a month, and that's Tombstone. This movie is kind of cheesy in certain ways, but at the same time, it's just like you don't have to think about anything. It has the perfect characters in it. It's everything you want in a Western, and you've got Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn, who I love.
He's one
I
of my
love
favorite actors.
him and Val Kilmer together.
Yes.
Is some of my favorite scenes in all time, like Western movies. Like, I mean, hello, I'll be your Huckleberry. Like when they
Right.
have that scene and Val Kilmer comes around the tree and he's just like deadpan, like I could just watch that scene over and over and over. And there has been a lot of movies made about this story, about what goes on in Tombstone. And I'm not saying those movies are not good movies, because the other one we had, it came out almost at the same time. I watched it the other day, and it has, oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name? I'll look it up. But to play Doc Holliday, a lot of people have tried to play Doc Holliday. But I think Val Kilmer, he does it in a way that I don't think anybody has been able to touch.
Yeah, he was amazing. And that performance, I think, is one of the best of his career.
I think
it's
he
probably his best.
outshined Kurt Russell, which was okay because Kurt Russell didn't really play a character. He played a character just trying to live his life. So I think he did a really good job at just making it look easy. But, like, then you get Val Kilmer in there, and just every time he's in a scene, he steals the scene. So, to me, it's just fantastic. But I got to find out the other movie, because I did just watch it, and it's almost the same exact story. But I don't think it's as great as Tombstone. I mean, have you guys ever met someone that doesn't like Tombstone? Again, Wyatt Earp. So Wyatt Earp.
That's right, Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp is,
Wasn't that Kevin Costner that was in
Yes.
Wyatt Earp?
Yeah.
So I do love a little bit more than Kurt Russell. I do love Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp a little bit more than Kurt Russell's. But the ensemble cast that's in Wyatt Earp, Dennis Quaid is the one that plays Doc Holliday, and he does exactly what's expected. He lost a lot of weight. They make him look really sweaty and clammy the whole time. But it doesn't have that connection to Doc Holliday with Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. You get to see the progression of what happens to him during this time. And I think in the other one, they kind of throw too much at you all at one time. So I think Tombstone over Wyatt Earp kind of gets it for me. But I think they're both movies that I will watch.
Really
but
good.
Tombstone just has some better chemistry between actors than the other one. And I do think some of the scenes are shot a little bit better as far as cinematography goes.
Yeah, and I think there's like Wyatt Earp is one I think people have heard of and people have seen, and it's not a bad movie, but like Tombstone is a classic that is constantly on lists that you have to see if you are into westerns or want to be into
And I do think Kurt Russell doesn't always get the credit he deserves as an actor either, and I think this was a moment for him because I think it came out at a time where he wasn't playing roles like this.
No. Well, I don't know that there was a point in his career where he was playing a lot of roles like this, because he's had a very interesting career from his days with Disney, and then he kind of was that hunky but like I'm thinking
Well, he was
of him
doing
like
like Captain
Overboard.
Ron, and he was doing Overboard, and he was doing
Yeah,
all these
yeah.
like, you know, tongue-in-cheek kind of movies, which we all love. I've watched
Well,
those movies like hundreds of times, right?
I mean, and even as an action hero, he was like Escape
Trouble
from New
in-
York, and
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they were still these kind of
They were-
off the wall,
Weird,
quirky kind of action movies.
Whereas this one, I think you see him but you don't. I lose him. I do see the character. I lose him in the
Right,
character,
right,
but he
right.
gets to be an actor, and it's not like I don't see a character. I
Yeah.
just see Wyatt Earp.
Plus, if you're wanting to grow a mustache, like Tombstone is
Right?
a great movie to watch to get some ideas, but you got to be able to pull it off because these are
Yeah.
great mustaches.
They're
And you
creme
can't
de la
just
creme.
start with the Sam Elliott. You've
No.
got to work your way up. Start with the Bill Paxton.
Yes.
Then move up to the Kurt Russell, and then maybe 20 years from Kurt Russell, you can get to
Yeah.
Sam Elliott.
Maybe, and there's only a select few that can. Like it is not.
That's rarefied air.
Like it's not a given that you can do a Sam Elliott, even if like
That's like being able to climb Everest without oxygen.
yeah, it's
Very
just-
few people
yeah,
can do that. Yeah.
It's so true, and I'm so glad that you picked this. Like I said, my mom did threaten to.
Yay,
I
Mom.
don't,
Hey,
she didn't
Mom.
threaten anything. I don't want to.
Be your Huckleberry.
Yeah, but she did
I'm
say
your
that it better be
Huckleberry.
on
Sorry,
one
I'm
of our
doing
lists.
the quote wrong. Please don't
Yeah, it's,
crucify me.
again,
Jake can fix
it's not
that.
really the
I'm your
format of the show
Huckleberry.
that we've got to get everything exactly right. So it's fine.
Yeah, if you're tuning in for the first
The
time,
scholarliness
we just
of
kind of
it.
do whatever we want.
Yeah.
If this is your 100th time, I don't have to say
Yeah, like you
anything
know-
to
you know
you.
you
You know that this isn't a show about all the facts.
Yeah. And we get stuff wrong all the time, and it's fine.
John
You guys
K.
just get
Wayne.
over it. Yeah, John K. Wayne.
Jeff Goldblum.
Stagecoach starring Marion K. Wayne. Jeff Goldblum in True Grit.
True Grit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still want to see that.
I
Make
would
it happen.
watch that movie in a
we gotta,
heartbeat.
we gotta.
True
Jeff
Grit with
Goldblum.
velociraptors.
That would show you that you have true grit if you can survive a velociraptor
There you
attack.
go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, my allergies are kicking
Mine
my
are
butt
too.
today.
Yeah.
So my picks, I have a very kind of Jake theme going throughout my picks. I
As
you
wanna
should.
put it out
Yeah.
there, yeah. But I mean,
We've not
very,
had,
High five.
wait. We have not had a solid high five clap on air
Yeah.
in way
was
too
crispy.
long. That
That
was
was crispy.
nice.
yeah, I mean,
There's a
I
little
mean, I'm
Doing
a
it.
professional.
Yeah,
I
you are a
practiced
professional
during.
high five,
I
yeah.
practiced with myself during the
you made me tingle.
time down. Oh, you got the Spidey tingles.
I do have
the
the
Peter
Spidey
tingle
tingles.
happening.
oh boy.
Okay, Jig style.
Yeah. So my first pick is a John Wayne movie, and I don't know that it's the best John Wayne movie, but it was my favorite growing up because of the name. It's Big Jake, and obviously
Yeah.
that's
I like
what
that.
drew me to it. But he this is more toward the end of his career because he's a little bit older.
I
and-
haven't seen this one.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. He plays a grandpa in it. Like Big Jake is the grandpa, and he's trying to help his son and his grandson. And anyway, it's a classic Western, very John Wayne Western type. But it's one that I grew up watching and always enjoyed, and it's definitely one. I mean, like I said, probably my favorite John Wayne movies like The Cowboys. I love that movie. Mm-hmm. But this one is up there just because I always felt attached to it.
I like that.
So
I do want to say, too, if you're just joining us and you hear some stuff in the background, we are excited because we're at Watchtower
Yes.
Coffee and Comics. So, yeah, we're out here in the wild doing our podcast live.
it feels good.
Just like
to be
the
out
old
again.
days.
Yeah, it's just like the old days. Except it's totally not because they're in a much nicer, newer location. So
We're not in the little booth.
Yeah,
We're not right up against each other in a van.
that's also true.
I do miss
Those were the
that.
good old
Though.
days.
Move
Yeah.
over, you're on my lap.
We might have to bring back the MPU.
I would love to get in the trunk again.
Yeah. Boy, we say weird stuff on this show. I'd love to get in the trunk again. Okay.
Why don't you put your bike in my trunk? That was one of my favorites. Still.
Can
my
I put my bike in your trunk? All right, we'll move along.
Lock it up.
Lock it up. I love that you just used that. That makes me so happy.
So Big Jake's my first pick. The second movie that I picked is Silverado, which was a modern one that I remember growing up and watching all the time. Like this was probably the first Western that I remember watching and like sticking out to me as a kid. And I love this movie. There are some great performances in it. Kevin Costner. This is like before he was really big, and he plays Jake, so that's his character's name. And honestly, it's one of my favorite performances from Kevin Costner.
No,
Nice.
it's so good.
It's so different from anything that you see because he kind of hit his stride and kind of played that very Kevin Costner-y type, almost monotone character. I'm thinking like Dances with Wolves, like in that era. Or an accentless Robin Hood. And
I don't know why Robin Hood needs an accent. I don't understand why everybody holds true to that.
I'm glad he didn't try and do an accent.
Yeah,
and
that
do
would
it
have been
badly.
even worse. Yeah. It's like, I can do an English accent. And they're like, no, you can't. So we're not going to do it. It was the right call, honestly.
It's so hard to do an English accent, but so many English actors can do an American accent perfectly.
Yeah. So ours must be easier to mimic. I don't know why.
We're peasants.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
They're
literally,
like,
they
you just speak
picked
like
us
you're
out.
uneducated and uncultured, and that's how you do an American accent. Okay. So it's fine.
I heard they say it's like chewing a lot. Like we move our mouths more than
I
like
could see
most
that.
people. Like British people barely even move their teeth.
I could
Yeah.
see that.
But speaking of Jeff Goldblum in a Western, I believe he is in Silverado.
Is he?
Oh, I haven't seen it in so long. I
know,
don't
it's been a while.
remember.
Hold
And
on.
I don't have my phone because that's what we're
Hold
recording
on.
the video with.
Hold on.
No, but I remember seeing. Like I don't think I've seen Silverado in like 10
He was like
years.
one of the bad guys, badish guy. He wasn't totally bad.
1985 is when this movie came out. All right.
Scott Glenn, Kevin Kline, Kevin Costner,
Kline, yeah,
Kevin Kline.
Danny Glover,
Brian Dennehy.
John
Oh my
Cleese.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh
Linda
my
really
gosh.
good.
Rosanna Arquette. Jeff Goldblum played Slick.
Yep.
Yep.
John Cleese is the sheriff. Oh my gosh.
And he's a bad guy.
I got to
John
go back
Cleese
and
is a bad
revisit
guy.
this.
Like, listen,
Yeah,
this
I
is a
haven't
great
seen
cast.
this. John Dennehy.
Richard Jenkins. This
I
is.
haven't seen this movie in so long. I forgot.
I'm totally going back to
Yeah.
rewatch this one.
This
2
is a-
hours 13 in 1985. That was like a
It's a
day-long
long
movie.
movie.
In 1985, that was like
That's a super long movie. It's over
Yeah.
2 hours
Look
long.
at how long this cast is. I'll kind of show it for the camera here. It's like
Yeah.
it just keeps going and going.
It's a huge cast,
Yeah.
and everybody does a great job. Kevin Costner's always stood out to me because as I got older and I saw more of his movies, he was just so different in this because he's kind of off the wall. He's kind of crazy. Like at one point, I think he's hanging upside down in the jail cell. Like he is just really good in it. But the whole cast is fantastic. John Cleese is the sheriff. He's a bad guy and just plays it so well. Like a bad guy that everybody thinks is good and he's not. And anyway, great movie, great cast, great storytelling, and it's just one of my favorite all-time Western movies.
So we've got two that reference Jake. We got Big Jake, and we have a character named Jake.
Yes. So,
Do we continue the trend and pick three?
well, so my last pick, when I told my wife the picks I was going to make, she said, "Oh, that's probably the most Jake pick you've ever done on Soft Picks."
There's the Jake reference.
So-
Okay.
is
So-
there Muppets or a cartoon involved?
Almost.
Oh, okay.
So my third Western pick is Back to the Future 3.
Oh,
Yep, that's a Jake pick.
yes. Yes.
So-
But I am okay with this pick.
Yeah, I love, and this is probably my favorite of the Back to
I
the
was
Future
gonna say,
movies,
uh-huh.
even. So, I mean, the first one is classic, and I think if you're only going to watch one, you've got to watch the first one to get a feel for what the story is, and you
Right.
can't just come into the third because you have no idea what's going on.
The second one was kind of
yeah.
Yeah, the second
The second
one.
one's like Cars 2.
Yeah, it kind of was. And you have to watch the second one to kind of get to where you're at in the
But
third
the third
one.
one
But the
is
third one is fantastic.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that it's set in the Old West and the whole story that goes behind it and everything. And I think that Christopher Lloyd is, I was going to say Lee, but would be a very
Are
different
you going to
Doc
go
Brown.
Plummer? Christopher Plummer?
Yeah, Christopher Plummer would also be very different. But Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown, I think
Christopher
this
Walken?
is one, oh gosh, that would be fantastic. If we can get Christopher Walken and Jeff Goldblum into a Western for me, that would be perfect.
It would be the slowest Western ever because they both talk very weird.
Yeah, and you'd have to throw in a
became Borat.
yeah, that did sound very Borat.
It's very weird.
So we got Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Walken, Borat, and then
Foo
let's just throw in
Fighters.
Bill Shatner
I just love
for
him.
fun.
Yeah, we got to have Bill.
Bill's got to be in it.
Yep.
But no, I think this is one of my favorite stories with Doc Brown. I love that it's very centered on him and the whole love story between him and the teacher that comes into town, Clara. And I love and this is probably my favorite Clint Eastwood movie because obviously that's what Marty calls himself when he goes back to the Old West. My name's Eastwood, Clint Eastwood. They're like,
I just love all the side stories about why the water's brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's just so many great lines. Like, whenever Tracy talks about running, I always want to quote it because Doc Brown's talking about people run for exercise, and one of the guys like, run for fun. Like, you don't run away from stuff. You don't run for fun, because he's talking about the future, and it's just so good. And I've always loved the concept of what it ends on. When they show up in the train and they show him the facts that it disappeared, and he says it means that your future is whatever you make it. Like, it's not written in stone. And I love that whole idea and concept, like that we are in control and we have, nobody's destined to do anything. And so
super creative way of getting the car back up to 88 miles per hour.
Yes. Oh,
that
the train
scene
is
so
fantastic.
well done.
And they're all going back, and then when she shows up on the hoverboard, well, no, not he gets on the hoverboard, but when she shows up and she's on the train, she blows the whistle. He's like, I mean, the facial expressions from Christopher Lloyd are fantastic, and they just really work all the time as Doc Brown. And anyway, one of my favorite Westerns. I know it.
I like that pick.
It's kind of weird because it ends in the future
great.
and it starts.
Dude,
in the
I went with a
future,
1903 reference.
Yeah,
I know, I love that.
I think we had a lot of really different picks. Like, I knew you guys would probably pick some of like the original classics, which you did, and so I kind of went with newer remakes. But yeah, no, I think we across the board, like we need to make sure we print the list with this episode out on the website and the Facebook page so that people can check out these movies. There's a few I want to go back and see.
Yeah. I want to see Desperado again. Or not
Silverado.
Silverado.
I mean, Desperado's also a good one.
That's a
I
good
want to
Western.
see. I would like to see Jeff Goldblum in that one as well.
Antonio Banderas.
Now I'm thinking of
And
the
Jeff
Eagles
Goldblum.
song, so now I just have to stop.
Desperado.
But then that always
Foo
makes me think.
Fighters.
Desperado now always makes me think of Despacito, and that's totally different. I don't know what's happening.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my mind is on a train.
I just really want to see Christopher Walken do anything.
Oh yeah, true. I love Christopher Walken. I think he's fantastic, and I love in the '90s
And
how
the man can dance.
Yeah, he can. Like that music video that he's in, where he's. I mean,
Fat Boy
obviously
Slim.
there's some special effects when he's flying, but
his
there are some
dancing
dance moves
is
that are amazing.
Well, that's why I just like every time somebody says Foo Fighters. It's when he
Foo
announces.
Fighters.
He announces Foo Fighters on Saturday Night Live, and then afterwards, Dave Grohl is like, "I want everyone to say our name like that." He says Foo Fighters.
Well, he told him beforehand. He came up to the band and said, "Now, do I put the emphasis on the first or the second syllable?"
Yeah.
And Dave Grohl's like, "I know how he speaks," so he's
Yeah.
like, "It's got to be the second one." And so then he's like, "So I set him up, and then he did the Foo Fighters."
Yeah,
And
it was perfect.
It was so great. I love
It was
it.
perfect. Christopher Walken's amazing. We've talked about a lot of amazing actors that weren't
That were
in
not in
movies.
any of the movies. Maybe we should do a Christopher Walken month.
I'd be
Oh
okay
my
with
gosh.
that.
Yeah, that would
Okay
be
with
great.
Walken.
Can we walk through
You know, and it's
August with
interesting 'cause,
Christopher
like,
Walken?
I like it.
Early in his career, he was doing like romantic lead
Yeah.
Yeah.
films, and
Because
then
he had that baby face.
Yeah, and then when we get into the 70s, like I'm trying to think of the film, but the Vietnam movie he was in where they're playing Russian roulette. Anyway, he was kind of the creepy evil
Yeah.
guy, and then he became the comedian later in his career, and
Yeah.
the guy's very versatile.
Yeah, he is.
And we'll do Walking Through August for my
Walking Through
birthday.
August.
Oh, I like that. Walking through
But
August.
do we have to like walk like he does? Like
That would be really funny.
Anyway.
We could have your wife film it.
that would be great. Yeah. Put that up on TikTok.
The kids will eat it up.
They will.
Look at these old people walking weird, Mom.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
Yeah, they're made up. Some guy, Christopher Walken. No, he's not made up. It's a real guy. Well, that's it. That's our staff picks for Westerns. We hope you enjoyed it. I really do think we've got a diverse group of picks here. Some very, a big variety of picks. And so there really is something for everybody in the Western genre, and everybody loves Westerns. So go check these movies out. Let us know who. That's not right. Let us know what some of your favorite Westerns are. We'd love to hear from you. You can send that to podcasts at moviesthatmakeus.com. Holy cow.
Not me.
It's all right. This is my first podcast ever. Obviously, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I love it.
And then
We're
make sure
real people. We're
we
real.
are. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then like this video, or subscribe to us on your wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. We'd love that as well. So follow us anywhere on social media that you can find us, because we're everywhere. Not like in a creepy, weird way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes in a creepy, weird way, but only me.
But
usually.
in the way that makes you feel good at the end.
In the way that gives Tracy tingles, we are
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Also, come get a drink over at Watchtower.
Watchtower, 1588 South Main Street.
We are thankful for Watchtower giving us the space to do this today. We appreciate it. Come down and check them out. And until next time, we won't see you at the movies.
Desperado.
I was waiting.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.